We're at the top of the hour now for a review of what's making the headlines in the papers this morning with Dr. Constance Ikwoku, who's going to take us through the headlines. Good morning, Dr. Constance.
Good morning, Yolanda, and good morning, I was about to say Lekon. Good morning, Benga.
Lekon is our producer.
Yes, the super producer.
Absolutely.
Behind the scenes.
Indeed, packaging something special for us about the late Afrobeat legend, given a life, first African to be given a Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award. And what does this mean for Africa? And African musicians, we'll get to know about that. I know Dr. Constance has a lot in the offing for us today.
They could work in magic behind the scenes.
That's right.
All right, if you're just joining us, I will be looking at those stories that are shaping the agenda for you, kicking off with this day newspaper. This morning, several titles report on armed attacks and insecurity. Related to that are plans to arraign suspects linked to the recent killings in Benue State. There's continued discussion around the coup plot in 2025, and MPCL and questions over audited reports, among others. This day cover leads with Defense Minister General Christopher Musa revealing that he was targeted for elimination in the coup attempt last year. On the economic front, Dangote and NNPC have sealed strategic gas agreements to aid the expansion of his group of companies. World Bank's Nigeria portfolio hits $16 billion amid efforts to accelerate growth and job creation. Vanguard newspaper fronts the state of business is set to be under duress as loan defaults rise to 21.2 trillion naira. High interest rates, forex shocks, end of COVID forbearance have all triggered spike in corporate loan failures, it explains. 2027 polls, fear of postponement looms over delayed electoral law. Again, bandits storm Niger community, raise police station, church, and abduct villagers. Daily Independent writes about recapitalization deadline as mid-tier lenders flounder with pressure mounting for extension. APC e-registration, ADC alleges forced registration of civil servants. And Bayelsa Ogoni's protest all exploration resumption, one Tinubu of crisis and tight monetary policy. Banks lend more to governments, less to businesses. Leadership reports that hospitals still reject emergency cases despite mandatory law for treatment. Federal government approves drug testing in tertiary institutions. And snake bite tragedy, Abuja Catholics mourn singer Ifunanya. Delhi Sun leads with outrage over constant electricity grid failures. Nanadi Usman-led National Working Committee of the Labour Party hails INEC over recognition, and Osun Assembly vows to take over all diverted local government funds. New Telegraph opens with an explosive revelation that military officers smuggle arms on board aircraft, threaten airlines and airport staff. Minister to meet Tinubu over security breaches, and Tinubu's reforms saved 278 states from collapse, according to the federal government. Serap sues NNPCL over failure to account for missing 22.3 billion naira, $49.7 million oil money. To the international headlines, let's kick off with The Guardian. Almost all national titles here, especially broadsheets and mainstream tabloids, are dominated by the latest tranche of Epstein files, notably financial disclosures and political connections, particularly involving Peter Mandelson, and calls for Prince Andrew to cooperate or testify. So the Guardian front page focuses on these new files, showing financial links between Epstein and British political figure, in particular Peter Mandelson, where documents suggest he received $75,000 via Epstein and may have advised on using JP Morgan to influence UK tax policy. This raises major scrutiny and political pressure in the UK. Financial Times cover leads with the same story, framing the Epstein revelations in economic and political context, emphasizing implications for the UK government, the tax policy and Labour Party credibility. Daily Mirror writes about a second woman's sex claims regarding Andrew, saying Epstein flew her to Andrew's Royal Lodge. Metro.co.uk is more concise with a summarization of the Epstein revelations and how it affects his friends. In the Times, the second woman explicitly claims she was sent for sex with Andrew. The Daily Telegraph has an embarrassing photo of Lord Mandelson in his underwear with a woman in regard to the same story. Daily Star, rather than concentrating on Epstein, tied the paper led with a lighter UK-centric lifestyle sports piece about the surge in sumo wrestling popularity in Britain. Daily Express goes for a different lead, with Keir Starmer accused of trying to rewind freedom in regard to Brexit, suggesting voters were tricked into leaving the EU. Now let's break down the stories to see what they mean for everyday people. This day, Defense Minister General Christopher Musa speaking about the coup attempt last year, in which he claims he was a target of elimination. He was supposed to be arrested and eventually eliminated if he resisted the plan by the coup plotters to apprehend him. Now, over a dozen military officers are currently in custody and will be tried for the plot. The minister said, and I quote, "I think these guys were just a bunch of very unserious individuals that really don't know anything. If you look at the caliber of the individuals, I don't know what got into their heads to think that they could take on the armed forces like that. What I even said is that even Nigerians would fight them or would have fought them. Remember, Nigerians have fought against military rule for quite some time. Mr. President has been one of them. So for them to wake up one morning and think they can do that in Nigeria, I think they need to reset their brain." End of quote. Benga, would Nigerians have fought them in today's Nigeria? He seems to be sure of that.
Well, for someone that has risen through the top echelon of intelligence, defense, and security architecture, and is now the political head of the nation's defense ministry. I'm sure that for him to have made such statements, he wouldn't have made it loosely. He must have gotten sufficient information to have made that clarification, that categorical statement that he was the target of those coup plotters. And if indeed he was the target, we have said here, immediately he was removed, then that he would be remembered for leading that onslaught against leaders of terrorist elements. We all saw what he achieved, apprehending those leaders of military elements, and that shows that also underscores what we have been saying, that the possibility of recruiting terrorist elements into our security and defense architecture is high, and the need to purge this, it also underscores the need to purge these structures of this element. We saw how porous the recruitment into our armed forces is. They said that they have to rely on a local authority that doesn't have a forensic ability to address, to scrutinize many of these issues. So it's like an all-comers affair, and that is what is playing out. So once we've gotten that intelligence, and now we have seen what is happening in Niger State, it's like a resurgence. And that, if we have been saying that there is a need for state policing, I think it's highly politically convenient not to have taken that as a matter of seriousness and as a matter of urgency to achieve that feat in our security architecture. Right. I think a lot of we are not saying the whole truth about this terrorism war we're fighting.
So, okay, I wanted to make two small points concerning the story. First of all, I want to commend how candidly the minister spoke, because I don't think we've been seeing a lot of this, where, you know, a lot of facts are being given and it's being spoken in such a casual and informal tone, but a lot of information is being given. So it was a very eye-opening interview for, I believe, many people. But the other aspect that I think is really important to look at is how probably these coup plotters really underestimated what the Nigerian military is capable of, even though they are a part of it. And that part raises a lot of questions, because many people have been stuck in this rhetoric that, you know, the Nigerian army is not doing enough. But surely for these coup plotters to be caught means that they must have been doing something wrong, because if they are in the echelons of where, you know, these decisions are made and they know the inside information of being part of the military, to be so audacious suspicious with this military plot is quite fascinating.
I mean, by revealing what he has shared with the public, Minister Musa is essentially saying that it wasn't an abstract plot, that it was real. It was concrete, and it reflected both the severity of the coup attempt and its importance in the military structure. We know that he held a position of influence last year, even before he became Minister of Defense. People targeted in coups are usually those that have authority and whose loyalty and position could be a stumbling block or an obstacle to the coup attempt. And so that's what we are hearing from what he's saying.
Right.
For a general, this could mean that he had command over troops, over intelligence access, strategic control, and the rest of it. That's what this is revealing. They also target specific high-ranking officials, and that target shows proper planning, because initially when this story broke, there were denials by the government that this did not happen. But from what we are seeing right now, there were really plans, you know, over time to take on the Nigerian military and to take over power. So it wasn't just a random thing. It wasn't a random uprising. It was properly planned. So this suggests that it went beyond what we heard initially. At the end of the day, it carries serious implications for the security architecture in the country. Yes. They are saying they've nipped it in the bud. I think that was why there was also that reshuffle last year in the military architecture for Nigeria to get a hang of, you know, the country. So we'll see what happens from here. Daily Independent this morning, APC registration exercise. African Democratic Congress alleges forced registration of civil servants. According to the party, these reports of coercion are widespread across several states, and this violates their constitutional right of freedom, and it undermines the neutrality of civil servants. In addition, they said that a situation where civil servants are compelled to join a party for career progression, job security, and continued access to livelihood is unacceptable. And in another news also, the president says that governors are party leaders. This was said when the governor of Taraba State, Abu Kefas, was received into the party. And automatic leaders of the party, does this strengthen unity, or does this sideline people that are already in the party? And for this e-registration, what this means for the country?
Okay, mass enrollment of civil servants and party e-registration is a clear violation of the civil service rule of non-partisanship. Section 030422 of the Public Service Law states that no officer shall on his own declare publicly his affiliation to a political party or an opposing party. So we have such clear principles in the public service rules, principle of anonymity and principle of non-partisanship. They are cardinal rules in the public service. So it is very wrong. But again, when we look at the reality, the head of all these institutions are politicians. So for you to get, it's difficult now for you to get enrolled into the civil service without the help of these politicians. So there is an extended political affiliation. Then on the other one, you said that the governors are the leaders of the party.
Of their party.
Yeah.
Even defecting governors.
I think it's now becoming politically convenient for the president to have a structure that mobilizes people, that galvanizes support for him through a recognized public office, rather than the grassroots leader. So now there have been mass defection of governors now, and it's clear that their loyalty is to the president.
Right.
So it is only convenient for him. But the political reality, we cannot dispense those grassroots mobilizers in the build-up towards 2027 election.
I believe we have the report.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Oh, okay, so the report is not ready, so we'll continue. I mean, for the e-registration exercise, for now, this is an allegation by the African Democratic Congress. They have to go a step further to share instances where, you know, you want to share evidence with the public. It's not enough to allege on the pages of newspaper through a press statement to the public. You want to show instances in various states. If you say it's widespread, you have to name names, what is actually going on for people to believe that this is not another, phantom allegation by the opposition. Then to the APC and saying that defecting governors are the leaders of their party in various states. I think this was necessary for the president to say. He was represented by the vice president who received Abu Kefas on Saturday. And so this was necessary to stay because of the crisis that they're already having in various states. That crisis is happening in Rivers, it is happening in Kano, it is also happening in, which other state? Apart from Rivers, is also happening in Delta State, although it looks like in Delta State they are closing ranks. Yeah, over the, last week, the governor organized a meeting of all the party leaders. And Omo Agege, Omo Agege, who was the person that wasn't sure whether he would give up his political ambition, governorship ambition, attended that meeting. It suggests that probably, they are getting together and there will be unity in the party. All right. Apart from that, also in Rivers State, we have divisions within the party. And going on to Benue State, the party is strongly divided, a power struggle between...
I think Yolanda is about to introduce...
Apologies to cut you short there, Dr. Constance. The newspaper review was just getting into the best part